Hello, this is John Schaefer. I'm with my friend Pete Carrico.
Hey, how's it going?
We're going to talk about watch captains. We're this week's tips and tricks from the pros. Pete's a great guy. He sails a lot of great boat. What's your favorite boat you ever sailed?
You know, there's a lot of them.
What's your favorite? Pick one.
I don't know. Maybe Great News. It's a FAR 50 that we won the Fastnet race overall with Tom Blackcollar. I was the bowman.
How about that? Watch your lines, Johnny. We've noticed that there was an incident in the Salty Dog where it's most unfortunate, but a guy passed away, and it looks like it's from seasickness, where during the watch they put him down below, but they didn't have a schedule to keep checking on him. And it looks like he passed away over a few days due to dehydration, of all things, which made me start thinking about watch captains and training watch captains, so the roles and responsibilities, particularly for the safety of the crew, the safety of the vessel, the maintenance of the vessel on a regular schedule. What are the roles when you're teaching your watch captains? What are the things that you try to highlight the most? What characteristics are you looking for the individuals? What team building exercises do you go through with them? Just tell me about the watch captains that you guys deal with and when you train.
I heard that story for the first time, and I just find it unbelievable that someone could disregard their crew to a level of they let them die. I don't understand that. Because the team of the crew of a boat is a team. Everybody looks out for each other. And the responsibility ultimately is the captain. But watch captains are like the ears, eyes, and arms and mind of the captain. So certainly you got to respect the chain of command and represent the captain to your fullest degree. But you are, as a watch captain, the probably the most comprehensive person on the boat. You might even be hired to be the watch captain, because many owners don't have your mechanical skills, maybe your electronic skills, your MacGyver skills. He might not go up the mast, but watch captain might. There's a broad spectrum of responsibilities, which is, well, the health of the crew, certainly in this case, but it's to keep an eye on the navigation issues, the weather, how this boat is sailed, what the reefing systems are like, make sure the boat's always prepared for the next evolution. But in the case of this crew passing away from seasickness, which is something that affects many crews. I was born on the lucky star where I don't get seasick much. If I had, it's from ingesting too much salt water, or having to work on the diesel engine for a couple hours.
Diesel.
With your head
Diesel
upside down, And
Diesel will do it to you.
It's rare, but I brush it off. But then again, I've been in situations similar to this where the crews have been incapacitated. One was, I guess it was around 1994. We're going to Bermuda in a flotilla, and my XO, executive officer, was Navy commander, surface warfare. And before we left the bay, I'm asking our novice crew, well, have you guys have been offshore before? No, none of them have been offshore. So, well, you're going to be on meclizine. That's a good, safe drug, and it's been proven reasonable for especially a bunch of young guys and girls. But the commander, he's like, I use the patch. I say, well, you're a swell guy. You've been on ships. You know what to do. I don't have to worry about you, right? Because he had no problem. So here we are reaching down the bay pretty fast. We probably made it out in the bay in maybe 14, 15 hours, so we're clipping along. But it's smooth water relative to the ocean. And as soon as we get into that secondary swells of the going into the ocean, because the waves aren't coming just from one direction out there, that he started vomiting. I'm like, what, are you all right? I mean, what's going on? And he goes, oh, I forgot to put on the patch. So we'd all discussed this before even leaving, that you go on your meclizine or whatever drug of choice 24 hours before you get underway. So it's ingested into your system. Your body has a chance to adjust. And he, for some reason on his own, neglected to do that. And so he ends up occupying, and we have 5 bunks on the boat, so there's 10 crew. So bunk that I would be hot bunking in, he's in permanently, while I'm basically in the nav table.
So now you're sleeping at the nav table.
It wasn't much sleep because now I'm doing dual roles. I'm watching both watches. And,
oh my!
And so the boat had its own skipper, and so.
So you two were the adult supervision.
Right. One down.
That's funny.
So here we are, and I kept on having to turn around to go sail back with the fleet because my crew was learning how to drive the boat. And it's blowing out of the southwest at probably average between probably 28 knots. So waves are pretty big. We're through the Gulf Stream. I figured, okay, maybe he's going to get better. Keep offering him fluids and food like on a regular basis. Every 2 hours, someone was checking in on him. Just offer him water, and he said no. You had to force him to drink. It's like, no, you got to do this. You got to do this. So he's sipping, and out it comes. So he wasn't able to. So he still had the patch on, and then it got to a point where we had to administer suppositories. So.
He couldn't do it himself?
It doesn't matter. When you get to a situation like that, you have to do whatever task is needed to ensure that the crew are being taken care of as well as possible. So, no problem.
How do they taste?
I wouldn't know. And still he would. He wasn't recovering, and so now we're at day 2.5, and I'm like, okay, we didn't have cell phones back then, so I'm on the HF radio calling back to Annapolis, and they were like, okay, well, I'm gonna call the Coast Guard communications group in Portsmouth, Virginia, where they got the big radios, and it's amazing that their VHF goes out like 150 miles, but I'm on the HF with them. And on 2182, and closest ship was about 50 miles north, and it was a merchant ship going into New York, and so now I'm heading north to get rendezvous with this ship. And about 15 minutes later, they said, we got a friend of yours who wants to talk to you. It says, who's that? Well, it's the aircraft carrier George Washington. They just did a 9-day workup on their maiden voyage, and they were at Chesapeake Light, which is 18 miles outside the bridge tunnel.
They're at the light. And
so we're about 350 miles from them. We're dead smack in the middle between Bermuda and the coast. And so we're turning around, and I'm like, I'm doing about 8.2 knots toward you. How fast you go, and so I can figure out when we're going to rendezvous. And they just said, the most we can tell you is 29 knots. But we'll see you in 6 hours. Sure enough, I had 2 helos in 6 hours. There was a thunderstorm between us and the ship, but so I didn't see them. And we got my XO in a PFD with his credentials all duct taped to it, with the rescue diver, and he went overboard with a smile on his face. I didn't see him for another 3 months. And when he did, he goes, thank you very much. You saved my life. So this was 3 days of when we finally got him extracted from the time he started seasick. And he said, thank you, because I took 5 units of IV fluid before I had my first piss. And the doctor said I was 12 to 24 hours of certain death. You would start off with your kidneys shutting down first.
So dehydrated.
And one after the other. And
he couldn't keep anything down.
Yeah, he went from 175 pounds to 152 in 3 days.
Holy cow.
He was that far in the hole.
Holy cow.
So, maybe I should have done something a little sooner. You keep on having hope, but you have to recognize that he was this far gone, at least just in time, was good. So I was probably 33 years old at the time.
Exactly. So you have that, all of a sudden you're monitoring, and things aren't getting better. The default is if he's not getting better, I think the decision is, all right, we need help. How we get him out?
Right.
What's our next plan? Mm-hmm. And I think the maturity, was nice. I think the maturity of having that watch captain, a mature watch captain, that can make those decisions and understand the process. And when the body starts to decline, that medical training is so important.
Right. Well, the skipper of the boat, young guy, he was in training. So I was even telling this crew, by the time you get back from Bermuda, you'll have the experience to go to Bermuda. A true catch-22.
Do you have any stories about a bad watch captain, without using names? Or you can use names if you like. If it was me.
Well, accountability is a big portion of what responsibility sort of infers. Where I was on watch captain on this 73-footer. We're doing the Halifax race, and no one's going to be blowing. There's a couple stories in with that. And I told the mast crew to put a downhaul line on the mainsail. Attach it to the car that is at the top batten, not the head of the sail, the top batten. Mm-hmm. So when it's time to reef, we can pull it down. I remember this one. It was at each reef point having a downhaul line, not just pulling the luff down till you get to the cringle to put it on the hook.
Right, you're just
having a downhaul line.
The downhaulers.
Well, one, when you're pulling on it, it's a 2-to-1, so you have a mechanical advantage there. And then another way of securing it if you need a secondary way of securing the tack. And then the mainsail goes up, and unfortunately I wasn't paying attention enough after we had this conversation, because they said, we got it. We're going to do it. You're going to want to second guess them, but I guess I should have. And then here we are at night, and it's time to reef, and they're having a problem getting the halyard down. And next thing you know it, there goes a batten. It's like, okay, that wasn't good. And so had we had that downhaul line, it would have prevented the batten from getting blown out of the sail, I expect. So just one example.
The importance of the checklist.
Right. And when you're told to do something and as a watch captain, you have it's almost like the second authority on the boat. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the XO, but XO's got one watch, the skipper's got one watch, you might even be being paid to be there, so you need to be professional with your responsibilities, and then the crew has to understand that, so that as experienced as they may, they're probably the best bowmen in the world, but if you're adding one extra layer of security that they're not usually doing because they just race around the buoys, and here we are going in the ocean, they have to understand that there's a reason why you make these kind of requests.
And then as the watch captain, that's your mistake. Or you didn't follow through that. So it goes to the skipper. The skipper's going to say, "Hey man, what happened?" You're like, "Yeah, my bad." As the watchman, I didn't pay attention to it.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Right.
Try not to do it again next time.
Right. And then rigging up systems, upward leads, and making the boat go fast. We talked about the the letterbox takedown, making sure the boat's always set up. Mm-hmm. Where's it at? It's like, where's the peeling strop? Well, it's down below somewhere. No, you having just known where everything it is. Having that placard down below where all the safety gear is. Or for a race, you haven't been sailing with them. Where on one boat it was like, we all get together the day before to go do our little one-time quick stop, and then it's like, we're gonna, what do we do next? Let's go to the bar. It's like, no, we're not going to the bar. At least I'm not. I'm going to go down below and I'm going to go through all the lists. I'm going to touch everything that I think it's important. Making sure you have full access. You got screws in the floorboard, so it's like, what do you have? One Phillips screwdriver? I think we need to go to the hardware store and get like
there you go.
5 of them. So that when we got time to bring those floorboards up, we can
double checking the crash kit.
Yeah, damage control. And then training. It's like if the crew, haven't ever put like collision mat over the side of the boat. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, let's talk about it. These things take time. So if you're there just for the day before the race, it's like you might be relieved to go offshore because you're going to be so damn busy checking the boat out prior to getting underway.